You lost or something? That's a pricey ride to be hanging around.
I'm good, thanks. Just heading out.
Yours? Or somebody let you borrow it for the night? A lot of rentals around here.
It's mine.
Right, just making sure you belong in this section, man. You know how it is.
Exactly.
Brian Mitchell had been with Prestige Security Services for 8 years when he made the call that would end his career and cost his employer $4.2 million. He was 35 years old, experienced enough to know the difference between a legitimate concern and racial profiling, but apparently convinced that his gut instincts trumped basic human decency. Saturday afternoon at the Westfield Premier Shopping Complex in Beverly Hills, he received a radio call about a suspicious individual near a vehicle that didn't match. The suspicious individual was Marcus Thompson, a 42-year-old retired NBA champion, checking his phone beside his custom McLaren 720S. What Mitchell did next, ignoring Thompson's calm explanations, dismissing his ownership documents, and physically grabbing him while shouting about stolen vehicles, would become a textbook example of how unconscious bias destroys lives and careers. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop a comment right now and tell me your country, your state, wherever you are. If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. The Westfield Premier sits on the corner of Wilshire and Camden Drive in Beverly Hills. It's the kind of place that caters to entertainment industry executives, international tourists, and anyone who thinks a $500 lunch is reasonable. Glass and chrome architecture, valet stands that handle more Ferraris than Fords, security that's supposed to be invisible until needed. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Saturday in October. 78 degrees under cloudless California sky. The afternoon shopping crowd was in full swing. Luxury cars lined up for valet service while others circled the self-park area looking for spaces wide enough to protect their investments. Marcus Thompson had spent 20 years at the highest level of professional basketball. 18 years in the NBA that included 3 MVP trophies, 8 All-Star selections, 2 championship rings, and career earnings north of $300 million. He'd spent his rookie years in Memphis, learning the fundamentals while getting destroyed nightly by veteran point guards. 6 years there, building his game, earning respect. Then 8 years in Phoenix, where he became Marcus MT3 Thompson, the player who redefined the modern point guard position. 4 final years in Miami, mentoring young players while adding championship hardware to his legacy. He'd testified before Congress about athlete financial literacy. He'd coordinated with the Players Association on collective bargaining. He'd trained over 200 young guards through his summer academy. The league had awarded him the Community Leadership Award 3 times. His peers called him Professor for his basketball IQ. His coaches called him the consummate professional. At 42 years old, Marcus was exactly where he'd planned to be. Retired comfortably, invested wisely, enjoying the fruits of 2 decades of physical sacrifice. That Saturday, Marcus was meeting his business manager at a restaurant inside Westfield Premier. He'd driven his McLaren 720S, a volcanic orange custom build he'd ordered to celebrate his Hall of Fame induction. Professional athlete casual, designer jeans, limited edition Jordans, vintage Lakers warm-up jacket. His championship rings were in his safe at home. His Patek Philippe was the only obvious display of wealth. He looked like what he was, a successful black man enjoying his weekend. He'd done nothing to attract attention. He'd parked legally in a spot he'd paid for through the app. But to one person monitoring the security cameras, Marcus's presence was a problem. Ashley Reynolds was 28 years old. She'd been valet supervisor at Westfield Premier for 3 years. USC hospitality degree, aspirations of hotel management, probably competent at her job. She was diligent about vehicle security, customer service-oriented, and deeply concerned about maintaining what she called the premium experience for their typical clientele. And this Saturday afternoon, Ashley had noticed something that made her uncomfortable. A black man standing next to a $700,000 hypercar. In Ashley Reynolds' mind, something didn't add up. The car was too expensive, the driver was too casual. The whole picture felt wrong according to her internal calculations of who belonged with what. Never mind that athletes often dress down off the court. Never mind that the parking app showed valid payment. Never mind that the man was simply checking his phone while waiting. Ashley saw a black man with an expensive car and decided he was a thief. She watched Marcus on the security monitor for 12 minutes, working up the courage to do something about it. Then she picked up the radio to security dispatch. "This is Ashley at Valet. I need security to check out a possible vehicle theft in progress. Section C, orange McLaren, black male, approximately 6 feet, Lakers jacket. He's been loitering by the vehicle. I don't think it's his." Brian Mitchell had been with Prestige Security Services for 8 years. In that time, he'd compiled a record that should have resulted in termination at least 3 times over. 11 complaints. 11 formal complaints over 8 years. 7 of them involved allegations of harassment and excessive force against people of color. 2 had been sustained, resulting in written warnings and mandatory retraining that clearly hadn't taken. The other 9 had been closed with inconclusive findings, despite security footage that mysteriously went missing or malfunctioned during the incidents. Mitchell had a pattern. He responded aggressively to any call involving black or brown people in spaces where he didn't think they belonged. There was the dental surgeon he'd physically escorted out because she looked suspicious, sitting in her own Porsche. There was the music producer he'd surrounded with 3 other guards because he was acting entitled when asking for his car. There was the federal judge's son he'd detained for 40 minutes because the Tesla seemed too nice for someone his age. The pattern was clear, the documentation was extensive, but somehow Mitchell remained on patrol. His supervisors noted in evaluations that he was proactive, but sometimes overzealous. But those notes never translated into meaningful consequences. When Mitchell received the call about the McLaren, his mind immediately filled in a narrative. Young, black thug, stolen exotic car, probably armed, definitely dangerous. Mitchell arrived at Section C at 3:03 p.m. He parked his security golf cart 20 feet away and approached on foot. He walked with purpose, hand resting on his pepper spray, already convinced he was about to catch a car thief. His eyes landed on Marcus Thompson. 6'1", athletic build despite retirement, Lakers warm-up jacket, checking what looked like an iPhone 15 Pro. In Mitchell's mind, every detail confirmed his suspicions. He walked directly toward Marcus. Marcus was reading a text from his business manager about being 5 minutes late when he became aware of someone approaching aggressively. He looked up and saw a security guard, white male, mid-30s, wearing a Prestige security uniform and an expression of barely contained hostility. "Step away from the vehicle!" Marcus blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, what?" "I said step away from the vehicle. Now. This is my car." "Sure it is. Step away from the vehicle before I call BHPD." Marcus felt the familiar tension, the same feeling he'd had during countless random traffic stops throughout his career. But he kept it controlled. "Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. This is my vehicle. I parked here 30 minutes ago." Mitchell didn't like the calm response. Most people he confronted either complied immediately or got defensive. This measured reaction threw him off. "I don't care what you say. This vehicle was reported as suspicious." "Suspicious how? It's parked legally in a paid spot." "Don't get smart with me." "I'm not getting smart. I'm asking a legitimate question. On what basis is my vehicle suspicious?" "You don't look like someone who drives a McLaren." "I don't look like someone who drives my own car?" "Have you ever been profiled while minding your own business? Type yes or no in the comments." Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but kept his voice level. "I'm going to reach for my wallet to show you my identification and registration. I'm moving slowly and my hands are visible." Mitchell didn't like being managed. Most people he stopped didn't know their rights, didn't maintain composure, didn't treat him like what he was, a mall cop on a power trip. "I don't care about your fake documents." "How do you know they're fake if you haven't seen them?" "Because punks like you always have fake documents." Several shoppers had stopped to watch. A woman in her 20s already had her phone out, recording. A man in a business suit had paused mid-stride, watching the interaction with concern. "I'm going to show you my identification." Marcus slowly removed his wallet, a custom piece with his MT3 logo embossed in the leather. He pulled out his California driver's license and the McLaren's registration. "My name is Marcus Thompson. This vehicle is registered to MT3 Enterprises, which is my company. You can verify this with DMV. Mitchell examined the documents with theatrical suspicion, holding them up to the light like he was checking for counterfeits. These look fake. They're not fake. That's a real ID-compliant California license and current registration. Marcus then pulled out another card, his NBA Players Association lifetime membership card with his photo and achievements listed. I'm also a retired professional athlete. That might explain the car. Mitchell barely glanced at it. Anyone can print cards. You probably stole his identity too. Officer, multiple people are recording this interaction. I've provided valid identification. I've been calm and cooperative. What exactly is your probable cause for this harassment? A woman called out, I've got all of this on video. This is profiling. Mitchell had a choice. He could acknowledge the documentation, apologize for the misunderstanding, and walk away. Or he could double down on a confrontation he'd initiated based on nothing but racial bias. He had made this stop in front of witnesses. He had escalated without cause. And backing down now would mean admitting he'd profiled an innocent man. So he doubled down. You're trespassing on private property. I'm detaining you until BHPD arrives. Trespassing? I'm a paying customer standing next to my legally parked car. You're refusing lawful orders. What lawful orders? You haven't articulated any legitimate reason for this interaction. Marcus raised his voice slightly, not aggressive but clear, ensuring the recording witnesses could hear. For the record, I am Marcus Thompson, former NBA player, standing next to my legally owned McLaren in a spot I paid for. This security officer is detaining me without cause because he doesn't believe a black man can own a nice car. Several people were now openly recording. One man shouted, Yo, that's MT3! That's Marcus Thompson! I watched him play for years! Mitchell reached for Marcus's arm. You're being detained. Do not touch me. I have not committed any crime. I am not resisting. But do not put your hands on me. Mitchell grabbed Marcus's wrist, trying to spin him around. Marcus didn't resist but didn't comply either, keeping his arms visible but not allowing himself to be manhandled. I am not resisting. I am standing next to my vehicle. This officer is now assaulting me for no reason. Please keep recording. You're under arrest for trespassing and disorderly conduct. Security guards can't arrest people. You have no authority to arrest anyone. You can ask me to leave, which I will do in my own vehicle. More people gathered. Someone yelled, That's definitely Marcus Thompson. He's got a statue at the arena. Do you think Mitchell should have just walked away at this point? Let me know below. Mitchell called for backup, while maintaining his grip on Marcus's wrist. Marcus stood perfectly still, making it clear he wasn't resisting while also not allowing himself to be forced into a position. All units. I need backup in Section C. Suspect refusing to comply. Within minutes, 2 more security guards arrived along with Ashley Reynolds. The valet supervisor's eyes widened when she saw the crowd of recording witnesses. Mitchell, what's happening? Caught this guy trying to steal a McLaren. He's got fake documents. Marcus spoke clearly. Ma'am, I'm Marcus Thompson. This is my vehicle. Your guard has assaulted me without cause, and I will be filing charges. Ashley looked at the documents Mitchell was still holding, then at Marcus's face, then at the NBA Players Association card. The blood drained from her face. Oh my God. Mitchell, that's actually Marcus Thompson, the basketball player. I don't care who he claims to be. No, Mitchell, that's really him. I've seen him here before. He's on the Clippers' Wall of Fame. He's got 3 MVP trophies. Mitchell's grip loosened but didn't release. For the first time, uncertainty crept into his expression. One of the other guards, younger and apparently more aware of sports, spoke up. Bro, that's MT3. He's literally in the Hall of Fame. What are you doing? The crowd was getting larger. Multiple angles of video were being captured. Someone started live streaming. Mitchell finally released Marcus's wrist, but tried to save face. Well, he should have just said who he was. I did tell you who I was. You chose not to believe me because I'm black. Ashley Reynolds was in full panic mode. Mr. Thompson, I am so sorry. This is not our policy. This is not how we operate. Your policy apparently includes profiling black customers and assaulting them for existing. Mitchell, give him his documents back. Now. Mitchell handed them over, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. Marcus put his documents away, then looked directly at Mitchell. "What's your full name?" "I don't have to tell you that." "It's on your name tag. Brian Mitchell, badge number 4471. Marcus turned to the crowd. "Did everyone get that? Brian Mitchell, Prestige Security Services, badge 4471. He then addressed Ashley. "And you are?" "Ashley Reynolds. I'm the valet supervisor. Sir, I cannot apologize enough." "You called security on me, didn't you?" There was a misunderstanding." "The misunderstanding was that you saw a black man near an expensive car and assumed he was a thief." Marcus took photos of all the security guards' badges, then got into his McLaren. Before closing the door, he said, "My attorneys will be in contact. This ends your careers." The engine roared to life, and Marcus drove away, leaving Mitchell, Ashley, and the other guards standing in front of dozens of witnesses and cameras. Within 3 hours, the videos had exploded across social media. Multiple angles showing Mitchell grabbing Marcus, Marcus's calm responses, and the guard's refusal to accept his identification. Security guard assaults NBA legend Marcus Thompson. Beverly Hills Mall cop profiles black NBA MVP. MT3 racially profiled over his own McLaren. The outrage was immediate and intense. The NBA Players Association issued a formal statement condemning the incident. Former teammates flooded social media with support. 3 current MVPs posted the video with lengthy statements about their own experiences with profiling. Ashley Reynolds gave a brief statement before being terminated. "I made an error in judgment based on assumptions. I'm deeply sorry." She was fired within 24 hours. Westfield Premier issued a public apology and announced immediate policy changes, including mandatory anti-bias training and new escalation protocols. But the real damage was done. The video showed everything. Marcus standing calmly, providing documentation, being grabbed by security for no reason other than existing while black with nice things. Civil rights attorneys contacted Marcus within hours. This wasn't just profiling, this was assault, false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violations of California's Unruh Civil Rights Act. The lawsuit named Brian Mitchell, Ashley Reynolds, Prestige Security Services, and Westfield Premier Mall. The claims were extensive: false imprisonment for detaining him without legal cause, assault and battery for the unwanted physical contact, violation of civil rights under both state and federal law, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence in training and supervision, defamation for publicly accusing him of theft, violation of California's Bain Act for threatening arrest without authority, conspiracy to violate civil rights, and punitive damages for the pattern of discriminatory conduct. Prestige Securities attorneys reviewed the evidence and reached the same conclusion: complete liability. The videos were everywhere. The witnesses were credible. Mitchell's history of complaints made it worse. Westfield Premier settled within 6 weeks. $3.2 million paid to Marcus Thompson. Additional $1 million from Prestige Security Services. Brian Mitchell was terminated the day after the incident. The termination letter was final and devastating. Your actions on October 14th represent gross misconduct and violation of company policy. Your decision to physically assault a customer based solely on racial profiling has exposed this company to significant liability. Your employment is terminated effective immediately. Mitchell's name was entered into the Private Security Services database as terminated for cause. His security license was revoked. His career in any form of law enforcement or security was over at 35 years old. Ashley Reynolds found herself unemployable in Beverly Hills hospitality. Her name was too connected to the incident. Westfield Premier faced intense scrutiny. How had they employed security with such obvious patterns of bias? Why hadn't the previous complaints resulted in action? Internal review revealed systemic failures. Security staff demographics showed significant underrepresentation of people of color. Training materials contained outdated profiling guidelines. Complaint processes deliberately made it difficult to file formal reports. Supervision focused on avoiding litigation rather than preventing discrimination. Previous incidents had been covered up through NDAs and quiet settlements. The Department of Fair Employment and Housing opened a full investigation. Their findings confirmed systemic discrimination at multiple levels. Reforms were announced. Complete replacement of security management, mandatory quarterly anti-bias training for all staff, body cameras for all security personnel, new complaint system with independent review, monthly audits of security interactions broken down by demographics, partnership with civil rights organizations for oversight, public reporting of all bias-related incidents, and zero-tolerance policy with immediate termination for profiling. Marcus testified before the Beverly Hills City Council. His testimony was powerful. I spent 20 years representing this city and this country at the highest level of professional sports. I've met presidents, addressed the United Nations, represented America in the Olympics. But none of that mattered to Brian Mitchell. To him, I was just another black man who didn't belong. He paused. The saddest part isn't what happened to me. It's knowing this happens every day to people who don't have my platform, my resources, my ability to fight back. How many others were profiled by Mitchell who couldn't afford attorneys? How many just accepted it because that's what we're conditioned to do? The room was silent. Should racial profiling in commercial spaces trigger automatic termination? Drop your answer. This wasn't just about a security guard who couldn't believe a black man owned a McLaren. This was proof that for some people, no achievement is enough when bias has made its decision. Marcus Thompson had 3 MVP trophies. He showed his identification immediately. He was calm, well-dressed, violating no law, and none of it mattered, because Brian Mitchell saw a black man near an expensive car, and his biased mind said, "Black men don't drive McLarens." Every piece of evidence to the contrary was dismissed as fake, as theft, as impossible. This is how systemic racism operates in everyday spaces. It's not always police on streets. Sometimes it's security guards in malls, managers in stores, neighbors in communities. It's the assumption that success, while black, is suspicious. It's the belief that black excellence must be fraudulent. It's the conviction that certain people don't belong in certain spaces. And when that bias is backed by any authority, even mall security, it doesn't just harm individuals, it sends a message. No matter what you achieve, you're still just a suspect to us. Brian Mitchell's career is over. That's justice. Westfield paid $4.2 million total. That's accountability. Ashley Reynolds can't find work. That's consequences. But money and terminations don't undo the humiliation of being grabbed in public, accused of stealing your own property, treated like a criminal for existing. They don't restore the dignity stripped away in front of strangers. They don't erase the message that even NBA MVPs aren't safe from profiling. The real question is, what changes now? How many Brian Mitchells are still working security, police, positions of petty authority? How many Ashley Reynolds are making assumptions based on skin color? How many more viral videos before we admit this isn't about individuals but systems? Because if we don't address the root causes, the biases built into training, hiring, and culture, then we're just waiting for the next Mitchell, the next Reynolds, the next Marcus Thompson, the next viral video. Comment if you believe this should be law. Any act of racial profiling in commercial spaces should trigger automatic termination and industry blacklisting. And if you think these stories need to be told, if you believe accountability starts with awareness and change starts with pressure, then hit that subscribe button. Because we're not stopping. We're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for the entrepreneurs, the professionals, the students, the workers, the ordinary people who deserve to exist in public spaces without being criminalized. What's your biggest takeaway from this story? Drop it in the comments below. This isn't just about one security guard, one supervisor, one NBA legend. It's about all of us, and the world we're willing to accept. See you in the next one.